to my computer. There you go. Okay, thank you, Dan. Okay, so we've done some pretty cool stuff today so far. I can't drift. I got to remember that I'm on camera. We've played with an exegetical guide. We've looked at some of the tools within that exegetical guide. We've also talked about how to change key links to some different resources, so we can now manage them. With the exception of Todd, who's having a problem. Was everybody able to change their Greek key link to the book they wanted and actually see that change take place in their exegetical guide? Okay. Something Manny mentioned to me that I need to mention to you, and that is you need to be careful with minimizing and maximizing windows within Libronics. It does kind of weird stuff. When you have a lot of windows open and you hit maximize, they all open to the same size, and hitting minimize doesn't make them all go back to their old place. It just controls them one at a time. Maximize changes them all, or can change them all at once, but minimize doesn't. So there's times when you're going to have just one window open on your screen at a time and 1,000 tabs along the bottom. The best thing to do is close all, open home, and start all over again. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you some other ways to do that later on, but for right now, if you're in this situation where you've got a big window with a bunch of tabs along the bottom, best thing you can do to catch up and stay up with class is going to be to close all, open home, and regenerate the report that we just talked about while we're in automatic mode here. Questions about the exegetical guide? Let's make sure, close all, open home, and let's rerun John 3:16 for a second. I want to make sure that we haven't missed anything. Run another exegetical guide on John 3:16, but I want to make sure that you've got all the extra windows closed. You'll also notice that along with all of these resources that you have here, waiting for mine to run, with all the key link options that you have, the very last one in your list should be more. Okay? If you click on more, it's going to give you all of those, not all, it's going to give you a few more, and each time you can get more and more resources that are available to you that are indexed to your Greek words, since we're doing Greek word studies right now. So always look for those little things at the bottom of lists that say more. That means that there's more resources available typically until you exhaust them all. I mean, once you've got links to all your Greek indexed books, you're not going to have that tab anymore. But anytime you see that little more with the two arrows pointing to the right on it, that means that you've got more resources available if you want them. Okay? The other thing that I want to mention is that across from each word, you have this X. Now, what do X's typically do in Windows? They close things. So if you're finished with your Greek word study on God or Theos, and you really just want it out of your way, but you want to keep working with this report, just click the X, and it's going to take God off your list. Okay? Not that you should take God off your list. I wasn't saying that you should take God off your list. Okay? So, do we understand the information that we can get off of this exegetical guide?
Once you get that beyond off your list, how do you put it back on?
Yeah, you rerun the report. When you rerun the guide, it'll come back on. But right now, you've eliminated it from this particular report.
You need to bring God back into our lives.
That's true. So since
repentance isn't something that.
Okay, since you want to talk, what chapter of the New Testament has the most occurrences of the word world in it? Brett?
1 John has 23.
Okay, chapter, not book.
Chapter.
So what question am I asking? I'm asking what chapter of the New Testament has the most occurrences of the word cosmos
John 17.
in it? Thank you, Brett. Your voice got deeper.
It happens.
That's right, because today is someone's birthday. Since we're recording, we won't sing happy birthday for everybody to hear. Does everybody understand how we just got to that? Okay? Click on the density graph. Change the graph Bible search results to number of hits in chapter. Scroll through that graph until you see this giant bar sticking out of the middle of the chart that says John 17. And it shows you that 18 occurrences of the word cosmos appears in John 17. You follow that? All of this, again, I want to make sure that we're clear on all we've done here is typed in John 3:16, right? We've spent the last 5 hours doing studies, looking at the results of these reports. All we have done is type in the verse. We haven't done anything else. Once we get to manual mode, you'll be able to run all these reports from the Bible text at, wherever you're studying. But this is powerful stuff when you decide, okay, I'm going to teach on Acts 2:38 on Sunday. That's going to be my pericope. What am I going to do? How am I going to start? Close all, open home, type in Acts 2:38, run a passage guide, run an exegetical guide, and you've got 3 days worth of stuff you can study just from those two things. Now, I want to look, as I mentioned the other day, if you look up at the top of this report, you have other tools. And you have passage guide, and you have verb river. We're not going to deal with verb rivers yet. Verb rivers are strange. But I do want you to notice that you can run the passage guide from the exegetical guide. If you remember, when we ran a passage guide in other tools, we could run an exegetical guide. So these two reports are integrated to the point where now, click on it to run a passage guide. Let it go ahead and run the passage guide. We typed in John 3:16. No, just under other tools at the top right-hand corner of the exegetical guide, it'll say passage guide. And now just grab this window and drag it over to the right side of your screen. And now you have your exegetical guide and your passage guide open at the same time, side by side. Look at all the information that you have available to you to study this particular verse. And it's all right there with hyperlinks to everything you could ever want. Ready to go. Does everybody see how that works? Pretty nifty stuff. Any questions about the exegetical guide or the passage guide? Are we clear on what we're doing here?
Where do you see other tools?
Upper right-hand corner of both guides. If you look on my screen on the exegetical guide, right in here at the upper right-hand corner of the exegetical guide, it'll say other tools.
Okay.
And at the upper right-hand corner of your passage guide, there's another set of other tools. When you run these reports, always look in that upper right-hand corner, because there's new cool stuff that you can get to that you couldn't get to before. Okay? But all I did was run both reports and keep them open on the screen at the same time. Nifty? Okay. Close all. Open home. There's one other thing that we haven't looked at yet, and that's the study word tool. We looked at study topic briefly, and we've looked at all of the components of the study passage, but now I want to look at study word. Type in the word love and hit go. Now, I will be completely honest with you. I rarely ever run this report from the home page. I run it from my text. And there's a reason for that. The reason is I'm usually interested in doing a Bible word study because I am looking at a passage that contains that word. It's pretty rare for me, I don't know, maybe for some of you it's not, it's pretty rare for me to just come up with a word off the top of my head that I want to study. I don't approach the text that way. I don't typically do that. I'm looking at a particular pericope where love is a key word, and I want to learn more about love, so I'll just run it from the text. But you need to know that you can run it from the home page, and if you do, it's perfectly fine.
Well, if you're having to do a topical study of some kind, that's the way to go.
Yeah. Now, this isn't topical. This is still textual. If I'm going to do the topic of love, I'm going to do a study topic search out of the homepage. This is a word study. I'm going to look at the word love. All right? So understand the difference between topical searches and word study searches. Right now I'm going to look at the details of this word love. Now, the very first one, the very first category at the top is definition. What is yours linked to? Webster's Dictionary, right? So you're getting a basic definition. What is yours linked to, Denny?
This says MW.
That's mine.
Okay, yeah. It's Merriam-Webster's Collegiate Dictionary. You'll notice what mine is. Mine's the Oxford Dictionary of the Christian Church. Now, you guys don't necessarily have Oxfords. I do. But again, we're in a situation where we can control where these definitions are coming from. How would I do that, Mike? Tools, options, key link.
What time do you get finished, Mike?
3:45, 4:45 your time.
Okay.
So, again, be real careful where you're messing around in here. I know every now and then it's like, somebody's watching me. Real careful what you mess around with in these key link options, but what data type do I want to change, Eli? What did I type in? What word am I studying?
Love.
Okay. Is love a Greek word or an English word? So since I started with an English word, right now I'm focused on English data types, right? So what data type am I going to change? And that is English. So click on the data type pull-down list and find English. I really wish you could make this window bigger so that you could see it better and I could see it better. But why did mine go to the Oxford Dictionary? Because it is the first one in my upper box in my promoted list. Now, I need you to kind of grasp this concept, and you may not get this for a couple of times, but it's nifty. What happens here is when you type in the word love, it looks at your key link choices and looks to see if love is a word that is indexed in that particular book. If it's not, it automatically goes to the next book in the list and the next book in the list and the next book in the list until it finds it. Okay. Yeah, you need to call them right after school today because, yeah, something's definitely wrong. There's got to be an install problem somewhere. So it happened that since we did love, that happens to have an entry in the Oxford Dictionary. Now, what is Oxford's typically for? People, places, and events. Now, is love a person, place, or an event? No. But it does have an entry, so it found it, and it did it. Yours is Webster's. If I cycle through here, I can find Merriam-Webster's and promote it and make it my first one. the advantage of being able to control these is that you can stack books at the top of your promoted list that when that particular book is unique and will probably have an entry for it, it'll find it. For example, the second book in my list, and this is another book you may not have, but I do, and I put it in here to demonstrate, is I have a book called The Dictionary of Deities and Demons in the Bible. It's a cool book on all of the different demons and deities that are listed in Scripture. But it's the second one on my list. If I click on the word love and I do a key link for 3 windows, what are the odds that it's going to open the Dictionary of Demons and Deities? Slim to none, right? I mean, there's not going to be one called love. So it's going to bypass that book. But now if I'm studying in the Gospels and I click on the word legion, because it is a demon, what's the likelihood that it's going to open the Dictionary of Demons and Deities? Very high, right? So I have it at the top of my list so that if I do hit a name, an English name of a demon or a deity, it's going to open that as one of my first 3. But for any other kind of English literature that I'm going to click on, most likely it's not going to find that topic, so it's just going to bypass it and go to the next one. That gets a little confusing, I know, but I just want to plant the seed in your mind that because you promote it doesn't necessarily mean that those are the 3 that it's going to use. If what you're asking for is not in those 3, it's going to go to the next one on the list and the next one on down and so on. We'll make some application to that later.
I noticed there's also Art and Hinger. We can select that. But I'm trying to figure out. I mean, this is in English now, so I mean,
It's going to find occurrences of the word love in English, not in Greek. We're not dealing with anything Greek while we're in the English data type. It's just English. So if there is a word in that book in love, I mean, if there's a topic on love or something along those lines, it'll show up here and it'll go to that page. But it may not go where you think it's going to go. Think in terms of language. If it's an English data type, you're looking for English books. Now, I want to do something interesting here, and I don't know, this may confuse the issue, it may not. I want you to find the Baker Bible Encyclopedia in your list of English words, English books at the bottom, and I want you to promote it. Baker's Encyclopedia of the Bible. I'm trying to think of stuff that everybody should have. I also want you to find the Logos Deluxe Map Set and promote it.
This is Baker's in the front?
Yeah, it should just be listed as Baker's Encyclopedia. Do you not have it?
I haven't seen it.
They don't tend to be alphabetical. I don't know.
It's on the top somewhere.
Yeah, it should be
It
close.
starts with Baker.
Yeah, it's just Baker Encyclopedia of the Bible. If you don't use Harper's Bible Dictionary, or you should have Harper's as well. Just use Harper's is fine.
What's the other one?
The Logos Deluxe Map Set.
The logos?
Yeah, it's just Logos Deluxe Map Set. Or Logos Map Set, either one. So you should now have at the top, you should have either the Harper's Bible Dictionary, Baker's Encyclopedia, and the Logos Map Set. Does everybody have those 2 promoted? Now, in your bottom window, scroll to the top. What is your top resource? It's still Merriam-Webster's Collegiate Dictionary, right? So let's just leave that the way it is. set your number of windows to open on a key link at the bottom to 3. And go ahead and close that.
So we want Bakers and Logos?
Yeah, we want Bakers and the Logos map set promoted.
And only those?
Yeah, for right now, only those two. I'm going to make a point in a minute. I know, sometimes it takes me a while. Smart Alex. Okay, so close that window and hit Control L on your computer. This takes you to My Library. If you remember, we kind of did that the other day. Control L opens My Library. Under Arrange By, select Title and type in NAS and find your NASB, the New American Standard 95 Update Bible, and just click on it to open it. Your My Library window should close and your Bible should open. If your My Library doesn't close, just close it automatically. Your Bible should be open in the background. Yep, NAS 95 update.
I'm on title. Is it author or title?
Title. Just type in NAS and it should filter your list. Everybody find that?
Is there, I have about 5 different versions of New American Standard Update. Does it matter?
No. They're all the same. They're just indexed differently.
When I put S in there, it's just supposed to be a blank screen.
Oh, all of your resources are locked. Nothing's unlocked. It's no wonder you're having problems. Oh, you're looking at all locked resources. Your collection at the top needs to be all unlocked resources. Click on it. Now there's your 95. This one. Resources missing. Yeah, you don't have it installed. Okay, so everybody's got the NAS open. In your current reference box, type Ephesians 1.
Bible word study.
Nope, just in your Bible, in your current reference. You still have your Bible word study for love open. We're going to get back to that. We're chasing a rabbit here. I'm trying to show you English key links since we talked about Greek key links.
Type in what?
Ephesians 1. So it should open to Ephesians 1, verse 1.
Can we close My Library?
Yes. Close your My Library once your Bible is open. Go to Ephesians 1. Now, in Ephesians 1, it mentions Ephesus, right? To the saints who are at Ephesus. Double click on the word Ephesus. Double click on the word Ephesus. What just happened? What specifically is a lot of things happened? You should have gotten your dictionary, your maps, and probably the Baker Encyclopedia.
Does the Merriam-Webster call it on just by default? You don't have to select it.
No, it's the third. It's the third one in your list. So if there are books that you've promoted that don't have Ephesus in it, it's going to bypass that, and eventually it's going to get to the Merriam-Webster dictionary because you've asked it to open the top 3 key links that have this word in it. Now the cool part is you've got Baker's Bible Encyclopedia. If you click on it, you've got a study of Ephesus. You got your Logos Deluxe map set. Somewhere on that map is Ephesus. I'm not always excited about the map feature in Logos, but we'll talk about that more as we get into it. And then you probably have your Merriam-Webster's dictionary entry, are the 3 that it opened. Do you understand why? Okay? You see what we're doing here? We're controlling the English key link now. When you click on an English word, what does it do? Now, if you remember, the second one in my list was demons and deities. Notice it did not open because there is not a demon or a deity named Ephesus. So it just bypassed that particular book. So you can leave your English key links set up this way, and when you type the names of people or places, well, I want Oxford's to be the first place it goes. So I've got Oxford's as the very first book on my list. Now, typically when I type a word like work or love, it's going to bypass Oxford's because those aren't people, places, and events. Now, obviously, we've seen that it does have an entry for love in Oxford's, but typically you're going to get people, places, and events and that kind of thing. So that's why my definition is different than yours, but now you can control that. If you wanted to go to something other than Webster's dictionary, you can promote a book that has that topic, and it'll show up that way. Is everybody starting to get an understanding of how these key links work? We're going to deal with this a lot, okay? This is kind of day one, up to your knees, the water is rising kind of thing, but we'll deal with it a lot more specifically. I just want you to start getting the concept of data types and key links.
Are these maps able to be copied and pasted into like a PowerPoint?
Yes. If you right-click on the map, you can copy it, then paste it into whatever you want. Okay, so close those little windows that opened. Let's just go back to our Bible Word Study report because that's where they were. But I needed you to understand why I have such a strange definition book from Oxford's. And it's because I like Oxford's to be toward the top so that when I do hit people, places, and events, it's the first book that it goes to. Now, I want you to close this. No, before you close it, look, the next section is key links. What is the first book listed in your key links? Merriam-Webster's Dictionary, and so on. I want you to go ahead and close this Bible Word Study report and rerun it with love as the word. Did your key links change?
Yeah.
Why did they change? Because you changed them. Now, I'm still looking at English key links, and I don't know if you can see my screen, but my second English key link in my key links option area was the Dictionary of Deities and Demons. Why does it not show up on this list? This list of key links is only showing you books that not only match the English key link, but also match the word that you're asking it to study. Does it make sense? It's not just everything that you've put in your English key links options. It's only the ones that have this particular topic, love. And you'll notice that there's a More button. If you click on More, it's going to give you the rest of them. And it's going to go all the way through. I strongly recommend that in your English key link area, and we're going to do this later, but that you promote some books like ISBE if you have an encyclopedia, or Baker's Encyclopedia of the Bible, or Easton's Bible Dictionary, or something along those lines. So that when you do an English key link, you're looking at those kinds of resources other than just Merriam-Webster's Dictionary. One of my pet peeves, I don't know if it bothers Denny or not, and maybe I'm off base having it bother me, is when preachers get up and they say, this word for love, and Webster's Dictionary says that love means, well, is that what the Greek word is? I mean, you know, we can't just go to an English modern dictionary to get definitions for biblical words. We shouldn't. Would you agree or disagree?
Absolutely.
It drives me crazy. You know, don't quench the spirit. Well, quench in Merriam-Webster's means to satisfy thirst. So that whole, and they'll build this whole theory of what that means based on a modern English definition of a word. So demote Webster's Dictionary as far down the list as you want. Now, there's times when you just want a dictionary definition of a word. That's okay. But don't be tempted to build a whole part of your sermon around Webster's definition. Promote some of these books that are biblical definitions of words, exegetical definitions of words, so that you can get through that a little bit better. Yes?
Seems like the word study report is the longest running report. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, because notice what it's doing. You can't see it because mine's taking forever to run too. I'm just going to go ahead and stop it. It's doing a very interesting thing. We started out with the word love, but if you start to scroll down these key links, do you start to see some Greek words popping up? What's it doing? Now it's not only giving you the English key links, but it's saying, okay, love is also translated phileo, agapao, and I need to find all of those too, because I don't know that you understand that, and so I want to help you understand all of what encompasses the biblical text that's related to the word love. Does that make sense, Mike? That's how smart this software is it's starting to say, you asked for the English word love, and that may be what you want. But did you know that it's also phileo, agapao, and all these other words? And I'll show you where it shows you that in the report later. If it's still running the report, just cancel, because you don't need to let it show all of the links, the key links. Yes.
You said that on our definitions, the first one should have been bakers.
If that's what you promoted to the top of your list.
Yeah, because bakers didn't come up.
Okay, then it didn't have love as a definition in bakers.
Did other people's?
Mine did. I think.
You did?
Yeah, mine did.
And you promoted baker to the top of your list, but it didn't come up?
Webster still come up. And then I brought in.
Did you regenerate the whole report?
Yeah, twice.
Hmm.
But then I did Easton and it came up. Bakers wasn't working.
Interesting. Okay. I'm not sure why. That's another thing that I need to mention. The last time I did this class was with 5 folks. And even within 5 of us, we found little anomalies like that I just didn't understand why they were occurring. And I don't understand why it's not occurring there. What I would have you do, Brett, maybe after school, is try to open Baker's directly and see if we can play with it and if it shows up. If not, it may be that the file's damaged or the resources, got a problem or something, but we'll look at that. I went ahead and just collapsed my definition part and my key link part by clicking on the little minus or plus next to the title so that we can get to this next section because this is an important section. And Mike, this will explain why this report, if you clicked on more key links, was taking forever. You'll notice that you have 2 sections that are significant. One is Hebrew root words, and the other is Greek root words. I didn't have Hebrew root words expanded, so it's going to take a minute to run. But you see this starburst with the English word in the middle and all of these Hebrew words around it or Greek words around it. What you're looking at is a visual chart that is showing you all of the different translations of the word love in Hebrew and in Greek, which is cool in and of itself. The other thing that you're looking excuse me. The other thing that you're looking at is the relative size of those words within that starburst are trying to give you an indication of the most times it's translated versus the least amount of times it's translated. Now, I have to apologize. I don't know much at all about Hebrew. So this starburst to Denny probably looks pretty cool because he can read what these little Hebrew words are. I don't know what this word is. I can't read it, and there are ways that I can run reports to tell me what it is, but for the sake of what we're doing right now, let's deal with the Greek side of it rather than the Hebrew side. But that's what that was doing. When you were doing your key links and you clicked on what?
So you're not a Hebrew scholar.
No. Yeah, I'm not a scholar much.
That's a whole lot of that one.
You're pretty good at English.
Yeah, I'm decent at English. I'm working on it. But you can see when we clicked more on key links, now it's trying to find all of the words that are translated in Greek. It would have gone through and tried to find all the resources that translated love in Hebrew, and there's 50 of them, however many. Now, just collapse the Hebrew one just by clicking the plus or minus sign next to where it says Hebrew root words to get it out of the way for right now. Because I want to deal with this, the Greek root word section. It works the same way as the Hebrew one does, but some of these words I have a shot at knowing what they're talking about. Since I'm not a Greek scholar either, it's still a challenge. But just visually looking at this chart, what is the most commonly translated Greek word to love? Agapao, right? This one right here. So click on it once. It's going to generate.
I'm trying to get to the same.
Are these?
I have it here. I just can't read it. Is this the one you want me to look down there?
No, just click on that word. Just click.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is the one I want you to close.
Okay,
Just the little minus sign next to it. Just get it out of your way. Now just click once on that word. And then right underneath here, it's going to generate this report. Okay, so mine finally finished. If I scroll down, it shows me that agapao is the word. Okay, let me rephrase this so that you understand what I'm saying. The word love is translated in the Greek 283 times. 117 of them are agapao, or a form of agapao. Make sense? Do you see how I'm getting that? That number on the right is the total number of occurrences of the word. 117 are agapao. And as you scroll through this list, you'll notice that the word love is highlighted, it's bold in all of those passages. It's showing me 117. Now, why is this showing me English? I thought we clicked on agapao.
Showing you where that word is translated as well.
Because, and only because, if you look up at the title of Greek root words, what resource is it using to generate this report? The ESV New Testament Reverse Interlinear. If I started with a Greek text here, all of my results would be Greek. There would be no English anywhere. So, if you're a Greek scholar, that may work out great for you. If you're not a Greek scholar, it may be just a whole bunch of scribbles all over the page that you have no idea what it's saying. The ESV, Reverse Interlinear, is a tool that has been built to bridge the language gap between the English and the Greek. You can do Greek word studies based on the English word. Really cool. This is new. This is only probably 6 months old now. And it's a really, really powerful tool. And I really don't care if you don't fancy the ESV as a translation. As far as how to work with Libronics, it needs to be a version that you start using on a somewhat regular basis, at least as part of your workspaces. And we'll talk about building workspaces. But it's the ability now to do Greek word studies from within an English text and vice versa. So more on that later. So I've got all 117 verses. Click on one of the resources or just hover over it. Just hover over the chapter and verse, and you're going to get a pop-up window that gives you that particular verse. Now, this is what I think is neat, because I prefer the New American Standard. Go down to, for example, Mark 6:24. Now, in this report, I'm looking at the ESV, but when I hover over it, since the NAS 95 is my default preferred Bible, my little pop-up window is what? It's the NAS. So I can compare the ESV with the NAS right from here just by hovering. And that's true of any of these. reports. Any of these reports that I run in something other than the NAS 95 update, I can compare because when I let the window pop open, I'm going to look at the NAS.
And we can change that from our opening script.
Yeah, you go back to your home page and you can change your preferred Bible to anything you want. But this is kind of cool to kind of compare translations just right on the fly. Kind of neat. Now, scroll up again. What is the second most translated word? Well, it's hard to see. It's probably agape, which is kind of about 5 o'clock on the clock wheel.
4:30.
Yeah, 4:30 or so. Go up 2 from that and look at phileo. It's a little after 2 o'clock on the wheel, and click on phileo. It's going to generate again. You're going to have to get used to generating.
Did you say the size of the letters means?
The size of the word is trying to clue you in to the number of occurrences. Agapao is the most translated form. But you can see, if you're like me, my eyes don't work well enough. A lot of these look like they're about the same size. It's really hard. Once you get past the most common one, it's kind of hard to tell from there. So now we've got phileo, and we've got those occurrences in our little list. 19 times out of 283 times. Look at John 21. You can start to see all those occurrences that I was talking about earlier of Peter responding to Jesus saying, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." He used phileo rather than agapao. And phileo was only used 19 times in the whole New Testament. Now, there are people and there are commentators that will say there's nothing going on uniquely in that dialogue with the difference between Greek words. It's really not anything significant. Well, I'm sorry, Peter chose a word that only occurs 19 times in the entire New Testament to respond to Jesus, who was using a word that occurred 120 times in the New Testament. So Jesus is using a very common word, and Peter is using one that's not common. I have a hard time believing that tells me that nothing significant is going on with those two words. Those are the kinds of grammatical patterns that Denny was talking about in exegesis. And Denny, do you agree with me that word choice indicates that there's at least something going on here? You have to be able to look at those kinds of things and see how quickly we can get to that kind of data in these reports. Okay, so you could go all the way around the wheel and click on each one, and it would show you how many occurrences and where they appear. Yes?
How do you know which word it's talking about? Because it mentions, Jesus is asking him, "Do you love me?" And he says, "Yes, I love you." So how do you know which love it's talking about?
Well, yeah, I mean, you clicked on phileo, and at the top of the report it says phileo, and then phileo is bold in your list there, or love is bold in your list. So that translation of love is the word phileo, because that's what you generated this report from. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, the next section of the Bible Word Study Report is concordance. And you'll notice that it is starting to break down your verses into different sections. And again, Mike, this is another reason why this report was taking particularly long time, because of the word love and all of the different forms. It's now breaking them down by morphology. We talked before about what morphology is. So you'll notice as you scroll down, you've got Hebrew. The first section is going to be Hebrew, and then it'll move to the Greek. And since I don't know Hebrew, even the morphology confuses me. And I know, don't say I'm not a Greek scholar. Denny, would you please, the second section, the first section just says love 16 times. When you scroll down, you're going to see a little break. It's going to give you a Hebrew word and then some morphology. So you've got verb, qual. What is cal? Pure noun, participle, active construct. Okay? Now, if you knew Hebrew, that would be the morphology of that particular Hebrew word. Okay, so see that it's going to start to segment this list by all of the uses in that particular form. It'll make more sense when you get down, when you scroll down to the Greek. Well, no, it won't, because you guys haven't had Greek yet. But once you get to the Greek, it's going to make a whole lot more sense to me. But look at how far I have to scroll. I mean, it's just page after page after page of showing me all of the uses. Do you see how it's organizing this word? You asked for the word love. It's now saying, well, which one? Are you looking for the present active indicative verb love? Or are you looking for the noun love? Or are you looking for the Hebrew word love? Be more specific. And I picked love, which generates a lot of stuff. Now, I was being dumb. I stopped my report. If you click at the top where it says concordance, if you click on ESV, New Testament reverse interlinear, it'll regenerate it to the Greek. Oh, no, it didn't. The reason I don't have the Greek on there is because I stopped the report because it was taking forever. See how up here at the top of this report, it says stopped, restart? It's telling me that I got tired of waiting and I hit the cancel button somewhere through, while my bar was still regenerating the report. So if I want to see the rest of this, I have to click restart. Now the nice part is that it doesn't start over. It just tries to finish it up. But I need to if I'm going to show you the rest of this report. All right. That's actually the only thing that's left on this report, and for some reason it's taken a long time on my machine, so I'm going to just stop for right now. Do you understand what it's doing, what concordance is doing? Let's go back, and at the top of your Bible word study, type in the word world. And hit enter or hit the little green go button. Since there's so much fewer occurrences, this report will run considerably faster. So we have a definition section. We have a key. Now watch this. This is weird. Since I have Oxford's Dictionary of the Christian Church as my #1 key link, it looked for world and look what it found. World Alliance of Reformed Churches. So that's not going to help me out a whole lot in my definition for the word world, is it? But you can see how sometimes computers take you extremely literally. You said world. That was the first topic it found in that resource for world, and so that's the definition that it gave me. So you have to be careful sometimes with the things that you promote. What is world most commonly translated as in the Greek? Cosmos. You can tell by the size of the word, right? Scroll down past all the Hebrew. And you'll start to see, once you start to hit New Testament section, 46 times it's translated as an accusative noun. Let's see. 2 times, scroll on down. Yeah, to where it's cosmos. 181 times total. 46 times it's translated as an accusative noun. 35 times it's a dative noun. Just keep scrolling down. 31 times it's a nominative noun. It appears with the definite article in the accusative 18 times. So the world. Do you see how it's starting to break all that down for you? All just by typing in the English word world. And the reason this report can be so detailed is because of this bridge that's been built with the ESV, with the English Standard Version, through the reverse interlinear. Questions about Bible word studies? You guys all look like your brains are full.
Mine's still generating.
Your brain
Yours
is
is- your brain is still generating.
Yeah, I guess
My laptop is still generating.
That pretty much takes us through the major sections of the homepage. I mean, we've dealt with basically all the tools on the homepage. What, Whitney, are the three most important reports on the homepage?
The three most important reports: the exegetical, the passage,
Exegetical guide, passage guide, and
Bible.
this one, the Bible word study. Now, we typed in the English word world and the English word love. I need to tell you that you can type in Greek, and you could type the Greek word cosmos into this study and have it actually generate it based on the Greek word. And we're going to get to that, but we're not going to do it today. You can type in Greek. You can switch your keyboard so that you can type in Greek. Some of you have a hard enough time typing in English without learning all of the Greek characters, because they're not the same. And until you understand the Greek alphabet, you're learning the Greek alphabet right now in Greek class, right? Once you've got that down, we'll deal with how to type in Greek a little bit, because right now the thing that looks like a P that's actually a rho that sounds like an R, half of you are going to try to use a P, and it's not going to work. So once you guys are a little bit further down the road in Greek, we'll start talking about how to type words in Greek. One of the problems with typing in Greek is that in order to do most searches in Greek, when you change your keyboard, you have to type the breathings and the accent marks correctly in order for it to find it, which is a pain. I have a real hard time remembering all the keystrokes for all of the accent marks and the breathings and getting that right. So I usually run these reports from the text. That way it gets the breathings and accent marks right, because I'm not typing it in. I'm just right-clicking on stuff. And we'll go there next. But those are the three biggest things I need you to understand about the homepage, is how to run a passage guide and the information that you can get from the passage guide, how to run an exegetical guide, the things that you can find in the exegetical guide, and how to do Bible word studies. Okay? Those three tools are going to be integral to you doing deep exegetical work and using this software to its potential. Even once we get to manual mode, you're going to have to know how to run those reports, and we'll show you how to do it. It's really easy. But those are the reports those are kind of going to be your go-to guys. You know, that's first, second, and third base, man. You need to make sure that those are covered. And so those three reports are where we're going to go. Questions, comments? Remember that you can always modify the amount of things that show up in these reports by clicking on this properties box at the top of these windows. Every time that you have a properties area, it means that you can customize what shows up in these windows. Okay? And we'll talk about that more later. But you can streamline. For example, if visualizations, remember in your exegetical guide we saw visualizations. If that has no interest to you for the next 2 years because you're trying to learn everything else, turn it off. Get it out of the report. There's no reason for it to run the report if you're not ever going to look at it. So go into the properties box in your exegetical guide and uncheck that part of the report. Whenever you uncheck it, it stays unchecked for all future exegetical guides until you turn it back on. Okay? Questions, comments? Okay. Close all and open home. And now, close your home page. Just click the X to close your home page. So basically all you have is a title bar. You have a menu bar and nothing else. We're going to, in the 20 minutes we have left, we're going to build a basic workspace and start talking about how we're slowly going to move toward a more manual mode, okay? Where you can set up workspaces to do specific kinds of studies and how to manage those windows, how to link them together, and why you should link them together and all that kind of stuff. So this is fun stuff. Now we start to get into customization a little bit. Do Control L to open your library. At the bottom of this window, you'll notice that there's a little checkbox that says Keep Open. I want you to make sure that that is checked. I want you to find your NAS 95 Update Bible in that list. Probably the easiest way to do it is going to be to click on Title and type in NAS and click on it. And you should notice that it opened in the background, but your My Library window didn't close, okay? That's what this little Keep Open is for. Whenever you need to open multiple books, rather than having your My Library close and you have to Control L and do your next one and then it closes and then Control L, just click Keep Open and your My Library stays open until you're finished with it. Next, I want you, with title selected, I want you to type the word commentary. What is the first commentary that shows up in the top of your all's list? Which one? Okay. Click on whatever commentary is at the top of the list. Doesn't really matter for right now. And that will open as well. Now I want you, under title, to type in ESV. Oops. And I want you to find the ESV New Testament reverse interlinear. You should have an Old Testament and a New Testament. Make sure you open the New Testament. So click on that one, and then close your My Library. Your screen should look like mine. You got all of these windows stacked on top of each other on your screen. Now, before you start dragging them around to try to get them organized, just go up under the top, under Window, and say, go up under Window, scroll down to Tile vertically. What Tile vertically does is it distributes the windows evenly across your page. So it basically made 3 columns. Each book is in a separate column, and they're all ready to use. Now, personally, what I want is I want my English Bible on the left side of my screen. I want my ESV interlinear in the center of the screen. And I want my commentary on the right side of the screen. Now, I could start trying to drag these all over the place to do that, but I'm going to show you a cool little trick. If you start thinking opposite, think Hebrew, you got to work backwards. Start from the right side of your screen. What window do I want on the right side? Well, I want my commentary. So click once on the title bar of the commentary window, just once. Then I want my interlinear in the middle. Click once on the title bar of the interlinear. I'm not dragging anything, I'm just clicking once. And then finally click once on my New American Standard window. Now go back under Window, Tile vertically. Ta-da! No dragging, trying to fit everything in, and things overlap over things. If you think of it backwards, start with the window that you want on the right-hand side and click its title bar first. And then I don't care if there's 20 of them. As long as you click on them in order and then say reach tile vertically, it'll put them in the right spot. Okay? So I now have it the way I want it. I've got my English version, I've got my interlinear, then I've got my commentary. Yes?
Before we did all of this and they were all in one window with the 3 toolbars on the bottom, could we have clicked once on each of them and then done that? Did it work?
Don't think so, but I don't know. I've never tried that. Since you're not clicking on the title bar, I don't think it would work, but try it once. I mean, not necessarily right now. What you need to know is what we just did is not a Logos thing. It's actually a Windows thing. And if you have multiple Word documents open, the same thing works. If you click on the title bars of multiple Word documents or whatever in Windows, and then retile those windows vertically, it'll do it the same way.
You know, you don't have to click the title bar. Anywhere in the window.
Just click anywhere. Just make the window active. Yeah.
It just goes like.
I've just done that because people accidentally hit hyperlinks and stuff sometimes inside the windows, and it does weirdness. So now we've got our windows the way we want them. In the very first one, in my Windows 95 update, type in James 1 in the current reference. And I can now start to read James 1 in my Bible. But my ESV is still at Matthew 1:1, and my commentary is at Matthew 1:1. Who remembers how we link these all together? Brett?
You go to the little chain link thing.
Yep.
And put it to A, and set them all to A.
Set this little tiny chain that's at the top of your window, set each one of those to set A. Set the little tiny chain link at the top of each window to A. Now what you've done is you've just said all of these windows I want to be part of a group, and wherever one goes, the others go. It's a little duckling following the mama. You know, wherever that mama goes, the little ducklings are going to follow. So now type in John 1:1 into any one of the three windows. I don't care which one. And they're all going to go to John 1:1. Okay, now, this is kind of cool. I think this is really cool once you get into it. But I have a problem. Do I really want to open my library and find my NAS and find my ESV and find my Bible exposition commentary and make all the windows and link them together every time I want to open? Of course not. And Logos wouldn't expect you to. Under your File menu right now, go to File, Save Workspace. Yours will be empty. Mine isn't, but yours will be. Under Name, just put Class Test. Call it whatever you want. And click Save. Just give it a name. Something that you'll remember. Now, once you've given it a name and saved it, go up under your menu, under where it says Window, and say Close All. You don't have to close all and open Home, because otherwise you're just going to have to close your home page. But just do Close All. Now go under File, Load Workspace, find that workspace. It should be selected already because it's the only one in your list, most likely, and it is the last one you saved, so it's the one that it's going to ask you if that's the one. And just click Load. Now, there's another interesting little tidbit to that. Where did it open your resources to? Where you had them the last time. So, if you have a workspace and you're involved in a protracted study of the Gospel of John, and you are in chapter 3, verse 12, and it's time to leave, resave the workspace, and when you reopen the workspace, it's going to go to John chapter 3, verse 12. It's not going to go back. Because right now, this workspace forever is going to open at John 1:1. I don't care if I'm studying Hebrews or whatever I was doing the last time. When I open this workspace, it's going to open to John 1:1 because that's how I saved it. So you might want to get in the habit of saving your workspaces if you're involved in a study, and that way it'll come back to where you left it rather than just defaulting to when you created it. Does that make sense?
After a while, can you delete those?
Sure. Yeah, you can, when you go into the file load workspace or save workspace, you see you have a delete key. You just select it, hit that delete key, and it'll wipe that one out. Somebody's restarting. Yes, sir.
Do you have a keyboard shortcut to kind of control save doesn't work? You have keyboard shortcut save.
No.
So you actually have to go in file, save workspace.
For now, you do. I'm going to show you how to create custom title bars, menus, that you can assign keyboard shortcuts to so you can create your own keyboard shortcuts. But I don't know of a keyboard shortcut that's designed for load and save workspace. There probably is one, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
If we want to write things down, I mean, a notepad or something, I mean, I'm sure there's a window that we can save along with this.
There is, but we're going to talk about notes much later. Note-taking within Libronics is clumsy. What I do, and what I did when I was where you all are and in a class, is I created a workspace, and let me show you what I did. If you click in the upper right-hand corner of your Libronics window, you now can control how large this workspace is compared to your entire desktop. Does that make sense? I mean, this is just regular Windows, managing Windows. So I made my Libronics workspace half of my screen. And rather than having 3 windows, I would just have maybe my interlinear and my Greek text. And I'm going to tile horizontally instead of vertically. And then I'm going to save this workspace. And I'm going to say notes space. And I'm going to save it. Now, when I reload this workspace, it's going to open Libronics to half my screen. What did I put in the other half of my screen? Microsoft Word. Open Microsoft Word and shrink your document down to fit in that second half of your screen. And when you save that document and reopen it, it opens up to the same size as well. So I can take my notes in Microsoft Word with all the outlining functions and all the typing features and all of that kind of stuff, or any word processor, and I can have my Libronics in half of my screen. Now, it's hard up here because I'm using such a low screen resolution because of the projectors. When you're talking about full resolution on your screen, you can fit a lot more up there than what it looks like. But these workspaces are customizable completely. So that's how I would do note-taking, is actually take my notes outside of Libronics in a word processing document. I am not a fan of how you do notes in Libronics. I think it's their biggest weakness right now. I know that I've talked to them. They're working on it. The new version is supposed to have some cool new features, and maybe it'll be better. I don't take any of my notes inside Libronics. I don't make notes inside Libronics. I just haven't found a good way to do it that was efficient that I could keep up with.
I don't know if you want to mention it now, but there is a, what you call a resource through Libronics where your Word documents can be in Libronics and see if they can.
Yeah, once you have a Word document that's finished, you can turn it into a personal book. There's a program called Personal Book Builder. But the problem is that you have to compile the book. And once you do, you can't edit the book unless you edit your Word document and recompile the book. So it's great for after you finish a course, for example, you've got all your Matthew notes done, and you want to turn it into a personal book, great. As long as you don't ever want to add more notes to it. I always want to add to my notes. So I keep those Word documents active where I can change them. Okay, so we've got a couple of workspaces. We only have a couple of minutes left. I just want to show you, oh, now see, that was dumb. That's something that happens a lot. All I wanted to do was close my window, my Bible window, and instead I hit the wrong X and I closed Libronics completely. So now I have to launch Libronics all over again, which will take a minute. I'm going to show you a couple of the workspaces that I've set up, and we're going to talk more about how to set them up and why to set them up. But I want to get you in the habit of doing these workspaces. I want to show you a problem. Now you'll notice that when I launched Libronics, it opened to a workspace. It didn't open to my home page. I tend to use Libronics in full manual mode at this point, and so I don't deal with the home page very often. If you go under Tools Options, General instead of Keylink. And make sure that you're under the General tab, under the options. You'll notice that at startup, you can start up to an empty desktop, start up to the home page, or the last one is load workspace. You can choose what workspace you want logos to start in every time you launch it. Okay, so that's neat. I have a, huh? Sure. Where to find it?
Just how to set that up again.
Well, you go to Tools, Options, General, and then in the General tab, you'll notice this list of choices. It says at startup, and the last one in that list is load workspace. Did you find it? So when you click the pull down, it's going to give you all of your workspaces that you've saved, and you can select one. And now when you start Libronics from scratch, it's going to open that workspace. I want to go back to our class test workspace for a second because I want to show you a problem with workspaces and linking them together. And we have just enough time to go through it. If I can get the workspace to open. Load workspace. Class test, load. Okay, so I have 3 windows and they're all linked together. And my last one is a commentary. Now I just opened the Bible exposition commentary, not for any particular reason. I'm in John 1:1, let's say that's where I'm studying. And you'll notice that in this first paragraph, now I'm studying John 1:1, right? In this first paragraph, as I'm reading through this commentary, I notice a hyperlink to Hebrews 1:1-3. And I know I'm smart enough that I can hover over it and read it, but I click on it. And I hit it just once. What just happened? Everything changed to Hebrews 1:1. Now, I wasn't studying Hebrews 1:1. It was just a link. But because I have all these windows linked together, as soon as my Bible jumped to Hebrews 1:1, my Greek text jumped to Hebrews 1:1, and my commentary jumped to Hebrews 1:1. Follow? Do you see how that's a problem? Now, I can hit the back button. Now, see on my screen right now, it's so small, I don't have my back button. So I would have to go to this more buttons and click it to go back. I can still get there. But that's a pain. I don't want my Bible and everything to jump every time I move. So I'm going to show you another little trick. Click on your Bible window. Make sure that it's active, your NAS window. And go up under Window in your main menu up at the top and just say New Window. Now notice what it did. Because I was in my New American Standard 95, it opened another window of the New American Standard. Okay? Now I'm just going to drag this and make it the same size as that first column. But I'm going to only make it about half as tall. And I'm going to change the one behind it so it's half as tall as well. So now I basically have 2 New American Standards, one on top of the other, right? The first one is part of my keylink chain, not keylink, my chain link, right? It's set A. My bottom one is not set to set A. Right next to the little chain link is a little thing that looks like a target. And it says Reference Target. Click that box in that bottom window. I have just told Libronics that that window is my reference target window. Now, what does that mean? Well, now, when I go to John 1:1, and I'm looking at that same commentary, and I click on Hebrews 1:3, it changes my NAS Bible to Hebrews 1:1-3, but it didn't change everything else because that one's not part of my chain link. Do you follow that? So following links within my commentary, now I can click on any of these links and I can change that target reference to an Old Testament passage, New Testament passage. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to leave the context of my study. Now, if I'm smart, I will save this as a workspace and not have to rebuild it every time. But we'll pick up next week with more workspaces and how to build them.
Where's that reference target coming out?
It's just right next to the little chain link. It's a little red, it looks like a little target. When you hover over it, it says reference target.
Okay, click on that.
Just click on it once, and that makes that window your reference target. Do you understand reference targets a little bit and how it keeps you out of your chain? Okay. Thank you very much. Starting on Tuesday, we'll start going through all of the menu items, all the different reports that you can run. We'll start dealing with it column by column in the menu section. So we'll do some cool stuff. We're going to start moving more into manual mode now than automatic mode.
The commentary that I was using, I was playing with this, and it just really threw me off. It's the new manners and customs of the Bible.
Okay.
I guess that's the Testament.
No, but it's not really a commentary. It just talks about manners and customs. It's not really